What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and my favorite part of that whole game was with 1:19 left to go. The game is pretty much over. All we have to do is go ahead and run a few plays to run out the clocks for the Dragons, and you hear playing in the stadium, another one bites the dust. It's just absolutely hilarious to me because the Dragons are the one who are the away team. You play that when the home team is winning and gonna win the game. But I digress. Let's start from the beginning, from the get-go. This game was actually a pretty decent game to watch. The Dragons had control of this game, it seemed like, pretty much the whole game. From a production side of things, FX did a fantastic job with this one. The production value was up in this game. I didn't have all of the audio noise issues like I usually do, that I usually complain about, especially those that watch this channel a lot. You know that I complain about the broadcast on FX, and I think a lot of it has to do is they're in Choctaw Stadium, and that's the hub of the XFL, and you could definitely tell that they had the equipment there. ESPN has put the time and energy into that stadium, and it showed in this broadcast. It was great. I enjoyed it. I loved the 7 o'clock game. I love the fact that shortly after 9:30 on a Friday night, the game's over, and yeah, you get to kind of just enjoy winding down. You can kind of, enjoy the good football game, and then you can wind down for the rest of the night, do whatever you want, and then, be lazy on Saturday morning. It was an excellent way to do it. I hope they continue to utilize that Friday night slot. I thought it was perfect. I enjoyed it. It might not be great for their ratings or whatever, but me personally, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it because my Dragons got a win, and they played a solid game from the get-go here. The offense did a fairly decent job against one of the best, if not the best, defenses in the league. DiNucci, yes, he had his interception in the end zone. If you were wondering, he did complete his one pass that he needs to do every game to the other team, and he did it again tonight. So if you were worried about that, he did it. And it was kind of hilarious because I think it was Matt, the announcer, called it that, and it was just so funny because like Joey Galloway's like, dude, you called it. You literally called it. You were the one. And it was funny. And I do like the banter back and forth between the two guys. Sometimes Joey Galloway can be a little rough on him, but it's all fun. They handle it well. They do well with each other, and actually I've kind of grown to kind of enjoy listening to them talk with one another. These guys are starting to get away from that whole like having to tell us what each play is when they hear the call of the play. They're just kind of letting things transpire throughout the game. Speaking of, just taking things in as the game is coming, DiNucci is getting better with controlling, managing of the game. But man, that guy on the mic, like I love him. He has all of, he's got charisma. He's got the it factor. He needs to clean up the interceptions. That's what's keeping him from going forward. But he just is annoying sometimes. He's like that. It reminds me sometimes of like Scrappy Doo from Scooby-Doo. He just he doesn't shut up. He doesn't leave you alone. He's always there, always making a comment, always doing something. And it's interesting how Hazlitt has done things with him. And obviously the announcers made a big point of this, but he's done this in multiple games where, he goes over the sideline after making an excuse and won't let the coach talk to kind of explain. He's a know-it-all. And those things are also other things that keep you from going to the next level. But I love Ben DiNucci. This, we all have our faults and our things to, fix and get better at. And I'm sure you can let me know all of the terrible things that I do and that I need to fix. Yes, I do need to fix things as well. But he's fun to watch. It's cool to see him do that. Josh Gordon still has it. You throw the ball up to him, and that was really the difference there. For whatever reason, Plitt kept checking down. And when they needed him and they needed to be stars, he wouldn't step up. And I think that pretty much is essentially going to lose him the job. I think that Perez probably would do a better job in this offense anyways. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but it just shows the difference. DiNucci's willing to take those risks, and you know what? If it doesn't come out, that's fine. For Seattle, sometimes it's almost like I've kind of gotten to the point to where like that's just their way to punt in a game. So, DiNucci throwing an interception is just Seattle's way of punting the ball. That's kind of how I look at it sometimes. But Plitt had Calanella there one-on-one. The guy's literally got like 6 inches on the defensive back that's on him. You just throw that ball up in the air and let him just go up and grab it, because usually more than not, one of two things going to happen. He's either going to come down with the ball or there's going to be a PI, because the defender he can't cover that. So he's got to do something to make up for it. And the other fourth down play where he missed, it's just like, what is he doing with the ball? Like and like I said before, this was kind of his last shot. And unfortunately, I think he's going to be sitting the bench the rest of the season. But when you become captain check down, that's what's going to happen. This offense needs to go forward, and he's not going forward with it. So let's start breaking down the game. Let's start looking at some of the stats and things of that nature. Pretty much most of the scoring happened in that first half, and really Seattle didn't need to do anything. They just pretty much let the clock run the rest of the game, and I was kind of okay with that. I thought that was great. Let's look at the Renegades first. So you had Plitt was 19 for 29 for 213 yards. And, he had the one pick. And that was just a bad throw. It was a really bad throw. And he was trying to force something, and then it just seemed like after that, he just kind of quit pressing things. Anderson came in after that one play. It was a weird play. I mean, nobody had any malice when he got hurt on the one play. It was just guys coming hard. They could have let up a little better, and they kind of tried to, and he just got in a weird position. Hopefully he ends up being all right, but that's kind of how it is when you play a rough sport like this. Smith had a fantastic day again. Smith, like I've said before, since the second iteration of the XFL when he was running with the Vipers, I've loved the way that he runs. He runs strong. Great running back. Did well on the day. I thought he did well with that. Plitt ran a few times and got some yards, and actually they started kind of moving the ball. They just could never. They actually ended up doing what the Dragons normally do, and their drives just stalled out for one reason or another, and ended up really not getting points on the day. Receiving wise, I think they finally found a few guys here. So Canella's been kind of their guy there, but Bolden, with having Smith running as hard as what he was doing, and Bolden kind of being this X factor guy, this H-back, so to say, this guy that can kind of go in motion, sit in the, get in the creases, kind of run some of those crossing routes, be very dynamic, get those screens, be that guy. I think he can be the star for them. This team, remember, is not out of it. Even though they're 3-4 now on the season, this team is by no stretch out of the playoffs, and I think Perez coming in and taking over this team, you're going to start to see guys actually us start talking about guys other than Smith and Calanella. I think Smith and Calanella are still going to be, big, huge parts of this offense, but you're going to see Winningham, who had that nice catch. You're going to start seeing his name a lot more. Vons, you're going to see his name a lot more, and Bolden, as we've saw, he is dynamic. You're going to see him, and I think that you're going to see this team transform on offense into kind of more of what they envisioned for Hayes. And Hayes' offense it takes shots at times, but it's a much more methodical type of offense. And when you won't take those opportunities like Plitt won't, Plitt needs to be in an offense that's going to force him to open up, as opposed to an offense that works to open up and then you take your shots when you get your shots. But if you keep checking down because a guy's got somebody on him, you're never going to throw the ball. And that's kind of what's been happening with Plitt. Perez will throw the ball. So we'll see how Perez fits in here. I wouldn't be surprised if by next week Perez is starting in that starting role, and you might see this team transform. Because remember, this defense is still really, really good. They had a pick tonight. Will Clark did a fantastic job with that. I get him. It was Will Hill. I get him and Will Clark mixed up all of the time, and they're on the same team. Had the pick in the end zone, did a good job with that. This defense, actually, this game was the first game that we actually saw them not really do really well. They gave up, they gave up more points. They gave up like a touchdown-ish more than what they normally, touchdown and like extra point more than what they normally do in a game. This Seattle offense is super, super good, and they've got a decent defense. And when you put those things together, it really wreaks havoc for the other team. And, speaking of the Dragons, right now they're 4-0 against the South. So they went through and did the sweep of the South and went 4-0 on that. Right now they're on a 5-game winning streak, which is crazy, which is nuts. I'm excited about that and what they're gonna do, because I'm a Dragons fan, as if you didn't catch that already. So all in all, though, the Renegades, I think that they can tweak some things, fix some things, and I think that they could still quite possibly be in the playoffs. But that Brahmas team, I'm really excited to see what happens with them, because I think that Brahmas team can actually transform this thing and be 3-3 at the end of this week with the Renegades and have the momentum to push them into the playoffs. So things are looking actually really interesting in the South. So looking at the Dragons, moving on over here to the Dragons. So we have Ben DiNucci, and they did pretty well with him. He did, 21 for 32 on the day, had the nice touchdown pass to Josh Gordon. I think if they could get a few tries like that a game and, throw the ball up to him, there are guys that you throw the ball up to. So like Gordon's a guy that you throw the ball up to. VZ is going to be another guy that you throw the ball up to. You don't throw the ball up to Pearson, even though Pearson's super dynamic. I really like the way that Pearson plays. Their wide receiver core is just amazing all the way through. But, that one that he threw up, and I think it was to Pearson that was intercepted, like that one he shouldn't have thrown up. But DiNucci is who we know him to be, but he's getting better at not making stupid decisions when it's going to hurt the team. And so he's being a better leader with that, kind of holding his emotions in check. He did a really good job of running the ball, understanding what the defense was giving him and running the ball with it. I was actually really impressed tonight with Hammonds. Hammonds was super shifty, falling forward. He's a guy that I really don't know his background, but he seems to be a converted wide receiver. But he's got shifty, feet and legs, but the guy gets north and south and gets yards and falls forward. And I love that. I like the way that he ran. He got some first downs for them. He ran strong and ran good, and I was really impressed with him in this game. VC had some really nice catches on this game and showed that why he's on the field with that. I mean, you got him and Josh Gordon, two big dudes. That's crazy. Jackson is coming on to be one of these guys that's kind of becoming reliable for DiNucci, and obviously Gordon. Pearson was a little bit quieter this game, but he definitely stepped up when he needed to. Made some catches, made some plays, and that Green had the 2-pointer. Green also kind of a role guy. I'll tell you one that's really been kind of neat, especially is in the special teams, and that's McKnight. McKnight with the way that he makes those cuts and kind of fakes out the defense on those punts and on those kickoff returns. I mean, it really sets that team up nice. There at the end, I think that he really set them up at the 40-yard line, and that really was what kind of helped to propel them to get them further away from that end zone and, kind of put that despair in that Renegades team. And then that first first down that they got really kind of sealed almost the deal for them there. But McKnight in special teams has just been absolutely fantastic. Reading the the kicking team and being able to make something out of it. He's done a really good job with it. On defense, I mean, I can't say enough about this defense. And I mean, it's really just been kind of like by committee. Lalos has really stepped up when he's needed to step up. They're just really starting to gel as a team, and they're going to be a hard play for anybody else going down the stretch. Now they have a hard time going down the stretch. They still have to play DC, but that's at home. They still have to play the Battlehawks. And real quick here, let's finish out their schedule here. So yeah, they're scheduled, and then finish with the Vipers. So they've got two tough games here at the end, but really those games can get them can really get them propelled into the playoffs. The reality of it is they went out, they're in the playoffs. So it's in their hand. If they can knock off DC and beat the Battlehawks, that almost will solidify them, if you ask me, into the playoffs. But they got two tough games, and then that week 10, if they need to get a win that week 10, the Vipers are the team to play in that. So all in all, had a really nice, fun time watching it on Friday night. It was a good win for Seattle. The Renegades aren't out, but they had a hard night tonight. I think that this is a transitional period for them. The new Renegades you're going to see next week. But yeah, this 5 wins in a row for these Dragons. As always, let me know what you think down in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. Listen, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.